Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Chamber Talk. My name is Tammy Wallace. I'm a co-founder and the president and CEO of the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Chamber Talk is all about conversation, storytelling, and connection. And speaking of storytelling, we are excited about this live stream with our special guest, Jason Collins. I promise you are in for a treat to hear Jason's story, really about coming out, but really his story overall in terms of coming out through the NBA, et cetera. And of course, we have the amazing Sarah Pepper and Jessie Witt that are going to be interviewing him today with 96.5, The Morning Show. So we are again excited that they're joining us. It's just a great morning all the way around, despite the rain. We're really, really glad to have all of them. And we are thrilled to once again partner with Houston Rockets on Pride Night, which is tonight. I hope many of you listening are going to be at the game. It's going to be a great, great game against the Sacramento Kings. We're going to have tons of fun. And so thrilled to call the Houston Rockets a gold level corporate partner with the Chamber. They have stepped up in every way to the Chamber and the community. This is the second year of Pride Night, so we're really excited about that. And it is my pleasure to introduce, representing the Rockets today, Clay Allen. Clay is the general counsel for the Rockets, and he actually started working for the Rockets part-time. I love this, Clay, as a marketing associate in 2001. And he worked his way up within the organization before leaving the Rockets to attend law school, and turned to the Rockets as the associate general counselor and was promoted to general counsel in 2021. So he truly is one of the few LGBTQ executives in professional sports. So we're always glad to have his fame, his engagement with the Chamber, particularly in his unique role. With that, Clay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you for those kind words. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this exciting discussion. Last year, our Pride Night panel focused on LGBTQ employees working in the business side of sports. This year, we're so honored to welcome Jason Collins to discuss his personal journey as one of the first openly gay male athletes playing in professional sports. Personally, for me, as a young gay employee, Jason was an inspiration as I navigated my own career on the business side of sports, and Jason's courage has paved new roads throughout the industry. Today, as a longtime employee of the Houston Rockets and Toyota Center, I'm so grateful to be able to work for an organization that is committed to diversity and that allows me to be my true, authentic self. And that, no doubt, is a result of the courage of trailblazers like Jason. The Houston Rockets and Toyota Center's commitment to diversity and inclusion comes to life not only through our supportive workplace, but also through our community partnerships, strategic initiatives, and through fan engagements on nights like tonight. We're committed to ensuring that basketball is available to everyone, regardless of who they are, and that we host a slate of shows at Toyota Center that offers something for everyone. Recently, Dua Lipa and Elton John graced the stage. Monday night, we hosted our annual Noche Latina with a performance by Baby Bash pregame. And tonight, of course, we celebrate Pride. Aside from the entertainment that we offer, the Houston Rockets and Toyota Center recognize that our position in the Houston community demands that we do even more. When we decided a few years ago that we needed to be more committed to the LGBTQ community and more intentional in our support, we immediately reached out to the Greater Houston Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber has been such a great resource for us, and we've been so thankful for their partnership and for all of the amazing work that they do. Of course, the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber has been instrumental in helping us plan our Pride Night again this year. Tonight marks our second official Houston Rockets Pride Night, as Tammy said, but we've been planning this night since 2019 after the pandemic caused the cancellation of our celebration in 2020 and then limited fans for last year's Pride Night. So we're so excited this year to celebrate the community in front of a full house at Toyota Center with no capacity restrictions. We'll be recognizing leaders in our community throughout the night. We'll feature the Banner Project on the Concourse, which is a series of nearly 50 banners highlighting Houston LGBTQ history. And of course, we'll have plenty of exciting entertainment throughout the game. Quick shameless plug, if you don't have your tickets for tonight's Pride Night, we still have a few available on rockets.com. Or I think there's still a link on the Chamber's website. Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong. And with that, I'll pass it back to Tammy to introduce this morning's speakers and get the discussion started. Thank you, everybody.
see. That helps if I come off mute. Clay, thank you so much for sharing information about Pride Nights. It's still on the website. You can use the code PRIDE as you sign up for your tickets. And thank you for being such a role model to so many. We had you on the panel last year, as you mentioned, about sports inclusion in the workplace. And we really, really appreciate you serving again as a role model to so many that will come behind you. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce I'm going to call the famous, fabulous duo, Sarah Pepper and Jessie Witt. You will know them both as the host of the 96.5, the morning show. This is the first time we've engaged with Sarah and Jessie at the Chamber, and I know it will not be the last, because I have to tell you, I absolutely love your energy. And we're so thrilled that you both can join us for really what's an important discussion this morning. This conversation is so important to share Jason's story. I know many are going to be listening, whether it's the live stream or the recording afterwards, and hear something from Jason's story that's going to touch a heartstring, that's going to give them hope. And that's exactly what we want to do with Chamber Talk and sharing Jason's story. So let me give a quick intro for both Sarah and Jessie. Sarah began her radio career in 2003 in Indiana, where she's in Texas now. In July 2008, she followed her co-host, Brad Booker, to Houston to take over the morning and the newly launched Hot 95.7, which I do remember, where she had an 8-year run. In December of 2016, KKHH relaunched at the spot, while Sarah was retained under contract by CBS Radio, later servicing on KHMX Mix 96.5 as the host of the morning show. She certainly has won tons of awards. I don't think Sarah's any danger to the community as a whole in Houston and the LGBT plus community. But one personal note, I love this, Sarah. She gave birth to her daughter, Parker, which I heard on the phone the other day, in 2019, so that's fabulous. And last but not least, Jessie Watt was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and went to college to pursue her dreams of working in the media. She graduated from Central Michigan University with a bachelor's degree in broadcast and cinematic arts with a double minor in communication and leadership. After graduating, she started working at 99.5 WYCD, Detroit's new country music station. And after starting as a promotions coordinator, Roberts took Jessie under his wing. Well, I love this too, to start coaching her for Major Market Radio. And here she is on Major Market Radio as part of the host of the morning show on Mix 96.5. Sarah, Jessie, thank you again for joining us. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much for having us. You know, Jessie and I are huge advocates of the LGBTQ plus community, and we try to create an environment every single morning where everyone does feel welcome. And we are absolutely honored to be joined this morning by Jason Collins and to share his story with all of you. We just appreciate him taking the time out this morning. And I think that it is on us that we welcome Jason into the room, because I know he is waiting and ready to go. Good morning, Jason Collins. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love your energy as well. You guys, I love the high five and everything.
And we've been up since 3. Can you believe it?
It's disgusting.
Wow. Okay, coffee. How many drinks of coffee?
You don't want to know the coffee. At some point, it's like an addiction. Sarah's like, I'm only gonna have 2 cups, and then by 7, she's like, Jessie, I have to go to the bathroom.
Just one more, please. Just one more.
But we are so excited that you are joining us today. It was such an honor to even be able to talk to you and share a little bit about your story. I think first and foremost, we just want to open it up to you to be able to tell us what your coming out story was like in the NBA.
It was, to sum it up, it was about love and support and acceptance, which when you step forward and to the world and say, this is who I am, that's the reception that, a lot of people are hoping for. I know that isn't always the case with members of the LGBTQ community, but I was very fortunate that my NBA family, my college family, and my personal family and friends, everybody stepped up and supported me. And I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without their love and support. And when I was in the closet, I was constantly looking for signals from the world of sports that it would be okay for a male athlete. Because the playbook sort of for a male athlete was you wait until after you retire and then make an announcement. I didn't want to do that. I was ready to live my life and not feel I have to hide anything. And again, credit goes to women because they've been leading the way on this. Martina Navratilova, Billie Jean King, as far as being able to, speak your truth. Sometimes, they were forced out of the closet, but they were able to speak their truth and play their sport. And Martina Navratilova is a hero of mine, someone who I idolize. And a quick funny story about one of the first times I met her was in Wimbledon 2014. I had communicated with her through email, and she was extremely supportive and just as you would expect. She was eating lunch in the players' lounge, and I had access to the lounge. And you do the small talk thing, and after the small talk, there's sometimes an awkward pause that sort of just lingers.
Right.
And I was just there. I was again like a teenage kid, like standing over here. Exactly. While she has like a salad, like it is like, are you just gonna stand there? And thank God, my boyfriend was there, my partner was there. Yeah, grabbed me by the arm and was like, "Okay, it's time to go." And I was like, "Thank you."
But when you're in that moment, and in that moment you are that teenager again, and you're staring at someone that you've admired for so long, you don't want to be the one that breaks the mood. You'd be like, if she wants to walk away, she can walk away.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay here right quick. I'm just going to hang out for a minute, and when she gets awkward, she'll leave.
Yeah.
I don't want to insult her by leaving the conversation early. We feel you on that.
Yeah, I was ready to, do you need any salt and pepper for the salad? I was ready to.
Would you like me to join you for lunch? I know you didn't say that out loud, but
that was what I was waiting for. That was what I was like. She was like mid-chew.
They come up and offer a drink, and you're like, "Yes, I would like to have one also. Thank you so much."
Do we need virgin daiquiris in the back?
My husband Martina and I would like a table for 3.
Yeah.
I know she said 2.
We
have changed the number.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Yeah, but getting back to the support, the signals that I was looking for were when I saw our commissioner at the time, David Stern, start fining people for using homophobic language. It's funny, when Clay came into the NBA, started out in 2001. So I actually also started in 2001. I was actually drafted by the Houston Rockets. Unfortunately, I was traded on draft day.
Not to make it awkward.
Not to make it awkward.
We're staying there with the Rockets.
Yeah. So I was this close to being a Houston Rocket. But yeah, they traded me. But it all works out.
Yeah. He's like, everything happens for a reason, but also I'm gonna bring it up.
We're working in this conversation.
Yes. But in 2001, the culture in sports and in our country was so different from when I made my announcement. But along the way, there were those signals that that the NBA started fining people for using homophobic language, and the fine was a minimum $50,000. And when I saw that certain people were getting fined, I was like, okay, that's a signal that if and when I step forward, that the league office will have my back.
Right.
And there were more and more cues and signs that I saw, one of which being in 2013, when I was playing for the Boston Celtics. The head coach at the time, Doc Rivers, did an interview with a local LGBTQ magazine. And in that interview, he talked about having a former player, John Amici, who came out later in life, but how supportive he would have been had John came out while he was playing. And that was a huge sign to me that, my coach at the time would have my back as well. So it's all about seeing those signals. And if you are an ally to the community, please put those cues out there, because people sometimes are constantly looking for those signals of support and allyship.
Jessie and I talk about that all the time, about creating a safe space. That's what we try to create in our studio every day, not just for Jessie and I, but for anyone that is a part of what we call our Morning Mix family, to feel like you are welcome here. And it's about laying the groundwork like that and creating those connections to be able to let people know that we're not saying this, but we're saying, if this is this, we are here and we will listen. And do you think because we read what your coach at the Celtics had to say about you as a player, and I mean if my mom doesn't say that nice stuff about me, and we're like, that's phenomenal. Do you think that maybe at the time he may have known, and that's why he did the interview, just to maybe have laid the groundwork for you?
I don't know. That's a good question. I gotta ask Doc next time I see him.
Oh,
but
I mean, that's a great question.
I will say that if you're an NBA coach like a Doc Rivers, who has coached for over a decade in the NBA, well, over close to 2, you have coached a gay player, whether you realize it or not. And I say that to every incoming NBA player. There's a program called Rookie Transition Program where speakers come and talk to them about various issues. I'm one of the speakers that comes in and talks about the language in the locker room. And I say, if you have played high school basketball, college basketball, professional, and you want to play for over 10 years in the NBA, somewhere along the line, you have had a gay teammate. You just don't realize it.
Yes.
And all of us have walked into a room in our lifetime and felt like we were the only person of maybe we didn't necessarily fit, or that we were just we didn't see anyone who looked like us. And in that moment, how did you want to feel? You wanted to feel welcome.
Yes.
And so that's an opportunity for our players to create that environment, as you said, that safe space, and really be aware of the language that they are using. And we help, try to increase that, offer education as far as the language that is used in the locker room.
And Jessie and I talk about this all the time on the show too. You really should download the Odyssey app and check out the show, Jason. Really think you'll enjoy it.
I need to.
We talk about this all the time. Jessie and I, there's a little bit of an age gap, not a lot, but
like a couple months.
Okay.
She was 6 years old in 2001, if that gives you any sort of gauge. I know, I made the same face. So I think about the world that Jessie is growing up in now is so different than the world that you and I grew up in. And it is going in that direction because, Jason, people like you and people like Martina and people like Billie Jean who said, this is who I am. It's not all of who I am, but this is an important part of who I am. And listening to Jessie and her generation talk gives so much hope for the groundwork that a lot of our generation has put in to hopefully believe that there will be a world, and Jessie brought this up earlier, so I don't want to steal your thunder, that there will be a world where there isn't this massive coming out. We're all just who we are.
Who you are. Like you live the life you want to live. I think what I had said to Sarah, and something that both of us, we hope that you're super proud of, is that you really have paved the way for so many people to just live their life. And there doesn't have to be a front page story about it. So seeing as though you paved the way and you went through that time where it was like, this is what we are going to talk about. Yes. We are going to put this on the front page for Jason Collins. And it was huge. Do you look forward to a world where that is no longer, when someone comes out, it's not a front page story. It's just,
we live.
Duh.
Yes.
And I'm like, duh, who cares? Duh. Like you live your life now. Are you looking forward to a time where you are no longer front page because I am gay?
I think we are already there with regards to women's sports.
Yes.
And we need more and more men to step forward so that we can get there in men's sports. But in women's sports, I particularly remember right before the Rio Olympics in 2016, Elena Deladon, the MVP from the WNBA, came out, and everybody was like, okay, cool. But are you going to win a gold medal?
Right.
Right.
It was the second line, not the first line.
Yeah. So we kind of are there with regards to women's sports, but we in order to get there in men's sports, we do need more and more people to step forward. Something that was really cool that happened on the morning of my announcement on the pages of Sports Illustrated. I got a call from President Obama, and not to name drop.
Are you kidding me? Who are you talking to? We got a call from the president of the Chamber of Commerce from the LGBTQ plus community here in Houston. We told everybody. If it was the president, we'd be telling everybody. We love you,
that
Tanny.
screenshot. Yeah,
Love you,
first
Tanny.
and foremost, we love you.
We love you.
Second of all, that screenshot would have been everywhere.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
would put it up just for when anybody called. That way, instead of their photo, it would always look like President
Just
Obama's calling.
Name drop it. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Get a shirt.
It's Barack.
Do
Hold
it.
on. Hello.
But he congratulated me, and he said how happy he was for me. But he said that this will have a positive impact on someone that you might not ever meet in your lifetime.
Yeah.
And I think that was just really cool for him to acknowledge that and say that. And because I kind of thought along those lines, but he was the first person to actually verbalize that and say that. And I was so appreciative of him. And then also, a few months later, I was invited to go to the White House, and I had a conversation with Vice President Biden at the time. And he said that sometimes it's very difficult, in particular for two straight guys, to have a conversation about LGBTQ issues. But when you frame it in the context of sports, it's an easy way to start the conversation. And that's the only way that things are going to change, is by people actually talking about this and having conversations, so that we can ultimately get to that day when people a male athlete comes out and it's like, okay, cool, how's the team going to do?
Yeah, and next.
But we have to have these conversations, and that's the cool thing about sports. It's like an easy way to say, like, hey, did you see that basketball player? Or, hey, did you see that football player? Kind of thing with Carl Nassib last year with the Raiders. It's a great way to, to continue to have these conversations, so that we can ultimately, as Jessie said, get to that day of, just live
your life. And in the same sense that, we need more male athletes that are coming out and just truthful and honest, but we also, it's two parts. It takes two to tango. So if you need the safe space too. You need the allies on the other side to create that, like, great.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
Let's go win a game.
Let's get back to life. It really does take two. So as much as we need people coming out, we need the support and the allies to come forward and create that sort of safe space for people to do that, right?
We do. But also remember, with any kind of civil right, that it needs to be a continual conversation, because just as much as we are people of acceptance and equality, unfortunately, there are people on the other side who unfortunately use laws or legislation or even religion as a way to divide and separate. And they will, and on that side, unfortunately, they are equally, like, trying to, they see something and they try to roll back or they push back. And it's not that we're just asking for acceptance and, like, the ability to live our life and not fear and have to hide who we are. So these conversations do need to continue to happen, and be aware that there is, in regardless of any civil right, that there is always going to be that pushback and that of the unfortunate part of human nature to try to repeal or, kind of thing. So you need to be aware of that, and just, but at the same time, you keep love in your heart, and you say, bless you, but we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep moving forward.
Right. So, Jason, talking about the conversations and talking about having the conversations, that there's a lot of people either watching this now or are going to be going back and watching this later, either when they know that they're by themselves or they know that they can watch this to at least feel like they're being seen. For those people that are watching this that do have that fear that you once had, who are nervous, who are struggling with who they are as a person, what would you say to them? What would your advice be?
So we have an expression in the LGBTQ community. There's the family that you have and the family that you choose to have. So you got to start building that chosen family. Yeah. And what I mean by that is those people that support you and see you and uplift you. And sometimes that isn't necessarily your blood family. There are great organizations. Don't ever feel like you are alone, because you are not alone. A lot of people have been down this path that you are on, this journey that you are on. And there are incredible safe spaces. That's one of the beautiful things about technology, and now it's like connecting with people. Organizations like Glisten, which has been a long-time NBA partner. Glisten.org is a great place to go. If you are in the world of sports, there's a great organization called outsports.com. When I was in the closet, I was looking for, trying to find like my ways to connect with people, to build that inner circle so that, again, they help uplift you and provide strength to you. So yeah, there are ways to connect in a safe way. And if, unfortunately, there are also those people that are dealing with mental health issues that are really struggling. And there, another organization is the Trevor Project.
Yes.
And you can reach out and talk to somebody anonymously, and just to have that voice of someone who's sort of been down this path. And I know it sounds cliche to say it gets better, but it truly will. It
Yeah.
does get better. One of actually the first person that I ever came out to is someone who did an It Gets Better video, and I saw his video. And he was a trainer of mine in Los Angeles. And in his video, he talked about we had very similar upbringings, very religious families, and I felt like I could talk to him, and he would. So there are people who have been down this path. I remember being, in the closet, and it's like I don't see male like a male professional athlete. And I was waiting for some other pro athlete to come out there in the
And
summer.
they're sitting there waiting for you, Jason. They're
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's something that
they're
Billie
sitting at home going,
yeah.
"Someone else is gonna do it." Jason's like, "All right, I got
Yeah,
it."
Like, who's gonna
Yeah.
blink first?
Right.
You're like,
exactly. Well, I remember. Well, Billie Jean King. I have been very fortunate to become friends with her as well, and she said she talks about this is that sometimes you have to be a possibility. It's not just being a role model, but a possibility model for somebody else. And I mean, she's so great at like and I love her also. Her quote. This is just like a tennis quote, but pressure is a privilege. And
Yeah.
that's on the entrance to Arthur Ashe Stadium when the players are entering. But anyways, but there are so many. Just gosh, you just have to look and know that you are not alone, and
Yeah.
and find resources on the internet.
I think that is great now. The internet, as much as we give it a hard time,
Yeah.
Jesse and I were talking about this yesterday. What great resources people have now in groups that they can find with people that are either in the city that they live in or not in the city that they live in, that they can share their story with and share their concerns with. Also, you really can find a good group of people just to be able to have the conversation with.
Yes, and I'm in contact with a few closeted athletes, professional athletes, and it's sort of like through the grapevine and that organization outsports.com that I mentioned, and it when I'm talking with them, I'm not. Yes, I'm talking about sometimes LGBTQ issues, but sometimes it's just about their sport or how their life is going or how
Yeah.
their job is, just and sometimes that just helps them because they don't have to have that filter when you're in the closet. You're constantly thinking, okay, if I say this, will someone be able to figure out that I'm a member of the
Hard,
community?
right.
So for them to get practice of not having that filter and just being able to be themselves and like have a normal conversation about whatever Marvel movie is out.
don't talk about it. Was that hard for you when you came out of the closet or I don't want to say hard actually, was it relieving? Like, was that kind of like a weight off your shoulders of like, finally, I can just be me. I can take the filter off. Because I'm sure that just creates so much hope for other athletes that are closeted right now to think, God, how crazy and how awesome my life would be if I could just
wasn't carrying this around every day.
Yeah, and you have the social media to find your chosen family in other aspects.
Yes, it is a huge stress. I can't. I mean, I did it, so I can't imagine. It's extremely frustrating to go through professional sports. Being a professional athlete, there's already stress in that, but you're adding an extra layer of stress to your job, to your life that you don't need to have. And once that weight is lifted, it's okay. And like I'm still able to go out. When I was playing with the Brooklyn Nets in 2014 and made history, I'm still able to go out to dinner with my teammates and not worry about saying, the right pronoun when discussing my partner.
Right.
And so, and just like having the weight off, or the best feeling was after the game was over and seeing my boyfriend in the family room alongside everyone else's significant other. And then just getting in the
That's
car.
like the cutest moment. I just
after the
pictured it.
game.
Like, that was so sweet.
Yeah.
Like, that's a moment that everyone would, look forward to.
Yeah.
That's like a huge, obviously when you came out, it was like, okay, step one. And then you got to go through step two. But I feel like that would be the light at the end of the tunnel that you're like, babe.
Yeah. And then you get in the car and you complain about what happened in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, same old regular relationship stuff.
Like the refs, doggone the refs.
I just saw in my head like it was a rom-com and like you just came out and he was in the family room, got a little teary-eyed. That was my moment.
Yeah. So but yes, having that and it's a weight off your shoulders, and it truly was and is a special feeling. So I hope that more and more male athletes in particular, but in the meantime, we have amazing female athletes who are
Well, Jason, we cannot tell you how honored we were to have you join with us this morning and being so candid about all of the conversations. We will put in one more shameless plug. Rockets.com, you can get your tickets for Pride Night tonight, $19. Get you a ticket to the game and a Houston Pride hat. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. They play the Sacramento Kings. Thank you again so much. We were honored.
Can I do one other shameless plug? Well, it's so this amazing hat that I'm wearing.
Well, we're not in charge. Knock yourself out.
So I actually co-designed this amazing hat. It's for a great Texas-based company called PrideSocks.com. I also did some socks for them. But a portion of the proceeds, when you purchase this hat or purchase the socks, go to a great organization called the Point Foundation, which is our country's largest scholarship granting organization for LGBTQ students pursuing higher education. Unfortunately, sometimes when a high school kid, they get to college, they get a little freedom, they might step forward and say, this is who I am. Unfortunately, their family might say, well, if that's who you are, you have to find your own way to pay for your college. That's where the Point Foundation will step in and help support those students. So it's a great organization helping kids. And this is a really cool hat, I think.
Nonetheless, style.
Come on, give out the website, hit it up.
Yes. So shout out to Pride Socks. Yes.
That's awesome. That's incredible. That's a really great thing to be a part of.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see everybody at Pride Night tonight for the Houston Rockets. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.